Hello and welcome back. So, we were learning about organizational culture, and under organizational culture we have started learning about the cultural dimensions, and we also learnt about strong organizational culture. So, when we say strong organizational culture, what are the key features of a strong organizational culture? It has high level of employee alignment, consistent behavior across departments. There is a strong sense of identity, loyalty and belonging, and it is often developed and nurtured over time by strong leadership and reinforced through stories, through symbols. Even during training sessions, the trainers would reinforce that what we stand as an organization. So, moving further, the opposite of a strong organizational culture is a weak organizational culture. So, if we have to overcome, or if we do not want to have a weak culture, we have to first understand what do we mean by a weak organizational culture. So, this would exist when the core values are either not clearly defined or they are poorly communicated, inconsistently practiced or not accepted by most employees. Means whatever your vision mission is, it is not clear. There is no clarity on what you want to achieve. Secondly, if it at all has been defined, but it has not been communicated properly to the people, because if it is not clear to the employees that what is expected of them, what they want to achieve, what they have to achieve for the organization, they won't be working properly. And also, if it is inconsistently practiced, means one department is doing something else, the other department is doing something else, which means that there is incoherence in the alignment of the culture. Or if the people per se, they do not accept the culture or the values for which you stand by. So, a weak culture is characterized by the presence of several subcultures, sharing of few values and compliance norms, and existence of few sacred traditions. Means every department would be having its own culture. So, there would be number of subcultures, but there won't be any one dominant culture. That is the example of having a weak organizational culture. So, again let us understand the key characteristics of a weak culture. There is a lack of common value system. So, there is nothing which is common like we have in a strong culture. There is a common value system or common beliefs for which everyone understands that. But here there are no common value system. Then employees may feel disconnected from the organization's purpose. It may be because it is not communicated, or maybe it is ambiguous, people do not understand. So, since they do not understand, they feel disconnected. Then there are inconsistent behaviors and work ethics across teams or units. So, again if the behaviors of people are different in various teams, in various units, in various geographies, again it is an example of a weak culture. So, decisions may vary based on individual preferences and not shared norms. Means whatever decisions you are taking, they are individualistic and not collectivistic. So, you have to have a collective decision or shared norms. Then culture is often leader dependent, changing with leadership changes. So, again I am reiterating that the role of leader in reinforcing the culture is of paramount importance. So, every time a new leader comes, he would try to bring the culture of his or her old organization. So, does that dilute the organization's culture? Yes. So, the lesser it is leader dependent, the more strong it would be. So, if every time with the new leader the culture is changing, it is symbolic that you have a weak organizational culture. So, what are the causes of weak culture? Why do we have a weak culture? Number one, it is the rapid or unmanaged growth. Means if you are simply or blindly growing or expanding without concentrating on your culture, you are bound to have a weak culture. So, it could be because of mergers, because of acquisitions or rapid expansion that you might be planning. Then there could be frequent leadership changes or unclear vision. So, I have already emphasized on the importance of leadership in maintaining a strong culture. So, if there are frequent changes at the top level management or at every leadership position, if there is frequent changes, there would be dilution of your culture would become weak. Then if there is lack of communication and reinforcement of values, again that would lead to a weak culture. Communicating your values, communicating what you an organization stand for is of paramount importance when you have to maintain a strong culture. So, this lack of communication means if people are not aware what your vision is, what you want to achieve, what you strive for as an organization, people won't be working to achieve that vision and mission. Then high employee turnover also is a cause of weak culture because it leads to no cultural continuity. Because see, culture as I said is not built overnight. We need people to abide by that culture, and those people who flow that culture to other people. So, we need people to be retained within the organization. If people keep on changing, just like the example of leaders, so new people are coming and the older ones are not there to teach them or to guide them about the existing culture. So, if there is this frequent turnover, then the culture would be lost, and that again is the cause of a weak culture. So, a startup scaling too quickly without establishing any common norms may experience a weak culture because you are too engrossed in scaling up without understanding the importance of building a common norm. So, employees may follow different work ethics, and without strong HR systems or leadership guidance, the collaboration would suffer. Or there can be a public sector office where employees come and go. Leadership is politically influenced, we all know that, the influence of politics, and no consistent training or value alignment exists. So, this often results in disengaged staff and inefficiency, which further leads to a weak organizational culture. So, let us quickly understand the strong versus weak culture through this comparative table, where you can see that if we talk about value alignment, so in a strong culture there is a high value alignment. So, it is shared by most employees, whereas in a weak culture the value alignment is low, which means that values are not shared or they are ambiguous or unclear. Talking about behavior consistency, in strong cultures there is consistent behaviors across various departments, various roles and even various geographical locations, units. Talking about weak culture, the behavior consistency varies by individual or team, means there is less consistency. Then if we talk about the employee engagement, so in a strong culture the engagement would be high, the sense of belonging and motivation is also high, but in weak cultures there is a less, or we can say there is a disengaged workforce. Coming to decision making, Strong cultures are aligned with core values, and in weak cultures it is subjective or inconsistent. Talking about the leadership roles, strong culture reinforces and models culture, whereas weak culture, there are culture shifts with changes in leadership. So, there are frequent changes in leadership roles in a weak culture, but in a strong culture there is maintenance, or we can say there is a sustained leadership. After understanding strong and weak cultures, now it is time to understand toxic cultures. So, you might be thinking that is toxic culture same as weak culture? Well, no. Toxic culture is different from a weak culture. So, for that we need to understand what a toxic culture is. So, understanding toxic organizational culture is extremely important, especially in leadership, HR and change management contexts, because it can severely damage productivity, morale and even it can cost an organization its reputation. So, you must have heard people saying that this organization has a very toxic culture. What do we mean by a toxic organizational culture? So, it is an organizational environment where dysfunction, negativity, fear and unethical behavior are common. So, in such cultures, employees often feel undervalued, unsafe. Unsafe means psychologically or emotionally, and they are disengaged. So, any organization or anywhere, if an employee is feeling undervalued, he or she is not able to express himself or herself, that would lead to diminished morale, diminished motivation, and they would automatically become disengaged. And why would anybody want to feel undervalued and unsafe? So, when we talk about specifically the safety or the psychological safety, which is extremely important, what do we mean by psychologically safe? Well, psychologically safe means that an environment where you can express yourself without the fear of being punished or without the fear of even being judged. So, most of the times when we have to share something, any idea or any strategy, what we often fear is that what others would think, what do I portray myself as, or what my boss would think of me. Even if you have to ask a simple question of certain process which you might not be very clear, so you are fearful of asking that question. This means that the environment is psychologically unsafe. But on the other hand, if you can openly ask without the fear of judgment that I am sorry, I did not understand this, can you please repeat? And the team member explains, or even your boss could maybe explain that to you again. Or if you commit a mistake in your task and you just walk up to him or her and say that this is something which I did, though it was unintentional, and you are not fearful, you trust your superiors, that is again an example of a psychologically and emotionally safe environment. So, when this type of an environment of psychological safety is not there, it means that there is a toxic culture where you cannot commit mistake, where you cannot go up to your boss and tell him that I am not clear as to what to do, I am not understanding this thing, or I have failed in doing this thing, means that that is a toxic culture. So, it goes beyond just a bad day at work, it is systemic, persistent and harmful to both the people and the organization. So, it is not something that today I had a bad day, today I committed a mistake, or today my boss was having maybe some anger issues, so he yelled at me. It is not a one day thing, it is something which is persistent, and again it is of course harmful for the mental health of the people and of course the organization. So, what are the key features of a toxic culture? There is this fear and intimidation. So, employees are afraid to speak up or challenge decisions. So, you can't say that I did not get this, I cannot do this is a challenge for me. So, you can't challenge whatever decisions have been taken by the boss. Then there is lack of trust. So, people distrust leadership or each other, and there is suspicion and politics dominate. So, people do not trust their peers, people do not trust their leader also does not trust its people. So, there would be a lack of trust. Then there would be high turnover. Of course, it is very obvious that nobody likes a toxic culture, nobody likes to be undervalued, nobody likes to be distrusted. So, of course, people would leave and they would quit. So, there would be constant resignations and burnout because of this constant dissatisfaction. Then another important feature of a toxic culture is micromanagement. So, if your boss is continuously micromanaging you or supervising you on the even the little basic tasks that you are doing, it means that this is a toxic culture. So, when there is no autonomy, leadership does not empower the teams, they do not allow you to take decisions, and they are constantly supervising your tasks, means that this is a toxic work culture. Then there are blame game cultures. Many organizations, many teams have that whenever there is a challenge, whenever there is a problem, we start pointing fingers at others. Nobody says that it was my fault, it was my mistake, because then you would become the scapegoat. So, problems are met with finger pointing and not problem solving. So, when you do not have the mindset or the environment where you focus on solving the problem, but instead if you are focusing on whose problem it was or whose mistake it was, then it is a toxic culture. Then there is discrimination or favoritism. So, if there is bias, if there is harassment or favoritism in promotions or rewards, understand that it is a toxic culture. Then there is a lack of transparency. So, decisions are made behind closed doors and information is withheld. So, there is no transparency, there is no proper communication, there is no rationale behind the decisions. These decisions could be those of promotions or demotions or transfers or giving any new projects. So, if there is a lack of transparency, it is again a symbol of a toxic culture. Then unethical behavior. So, if there is a rule breaking is being ignored or even rewarded if it benefits the company, again shows that it is a toxic work culture. So, now that we have understood what are the key features of a toxic culture, these are the common causes of toxic culture, means what leads to having a toxic culture in the organization. The first cause here is of toxic leadership. So, a great I would say role is played by the leader of the organization, or leader could be a unit leader, a departmental leader. In education it could be the dean, the director, the HOD. So, if the leader is toxic, that could bring toxic culture within the organization. So, autocratic, narcissist or unethical leaders, they are the ones who set a bad example and could continue or make the culture within the organization toxic. Then another cause is poor communication. So, lack of clarity breeds confusion, it leads to mistrust and frustration. So, if the leader is not properly communicating, people would be confused, and when people are confused, they do not trust their leader, they do not trust the people around. This further leads to commotion, frustration, and of course, when you are frustrated, when you are confused, when you feel that people don't trust you, that would have a direct impact on your performance, your morale and your motivation to work. That would obviously fall down. Then there is lack of accountability, another cause of toxic culture. So, when nobody is accountable for whatever job they are doing, that would lead to having a toxic culture. So, no consequences for toxic behaviors or poor behaviors. So, nobody is watching, nobody is reprimanding your poor behavior, could lead to having a sustained toxic culture. Then whenever there is a pressure driven environment, so many sales or marketing jobs are extremely pressure driven because you are chasing certain numbers, and when there are unrealistic goals, long hours of work, and there is no work life balance, there would be chances that the organizational culture becomes slowly and gradually it becomes toxic, because you are under constant pressure. So, as a leader, if you are under pressure, you would certainly transfer that pressure to your team, and they would again deliver that pressure to the people under them. Then there are mismatched values. So, whenever there is difference between espoused values and the real actions, that would lead to having a toxic work culture or toxic organizational culture. And neglect of employee well-being. So, many organizations are talking about employees' mental health or their mental well-being, but many are still neglecting that, because maybe again because of mismatched values, because of pressure. So, ignoring mental health feedback and support systems can lead to neglecting the employee well-being, which could lead to having toxic cultures. Now, how to avoid a toxic culture? Number one, you have to hire and promote people based on values. So, only promote leaders who demonstrate empathy, ethics and collaboration, not just performance metrics. So, whatever metrics you have made regarding uh, the performance or the promotions, so make one rubrics as to, are the people, are these leaders empathetic, are they following ethics, are they collaborating with the team. So, promote only those leaders. So, do not just rely on how much the person is performing. So, even if he is performing well, but he is not empathetic, he is using unethical means, he is not collaborating, that leader will not in the long run lead to having a strong organizational culture. So, do not rely just on the performance metrics, add these parameters of empathy, ethics and collaboration. Then encourage psychological safety. So, as I said, that it is very important that people speak up, people share their concerns, their issues, their challenges, because if people would be fearful, they won't come up with anything new, or any innovation won't come. So, you need to foster an environment where employees can speak up without fear of ridicule or retaliation. So, as a leader, it is your duty to encourage, foster a psychological safe environment for your people, where they can come, they can share whatever they want to, they can commit mistakes, they can accept that yes, they committed the mistake, learn and grow. Then address toxic behavior immediately. It is important that this kind of a negative behavior is addressed immediately. So, have clear HR policies and act decisively against bullying, against any kind of harassment or discrimination. Because if you let loose people who are behaving in that manner, means you are promoting that culture. But if you nip it in the bud, then you are stopping this toxic behavior from flowing. Then model ethical leadership. So, leaders should walk the talk. They should have integrity, fairness and humility. So, again the role of leaders is of utmost importance whenever any type of culture is being built or reinforced within the organization. So, if leaders are walking the talk, if they are showing the signs of integrity, their loyalty, they are fair, then you would stop having a toxic work culture. And foster open communication. So, encourage feedback loops, regular check-ins, town halls to improve transparency. So, open communication is very important. If you are not communicating openly and transparently, means you are hiding something, means people would distrust you, and that would again lead to confusion. So, you should avoid that. Then invest in employee well-being, very important. You must support work-life balance, mental health programs and employee development, so that any type of problems that an employee might be facing, that can be discussed and shared. Then conduct culture audits. So, use employee surveys, 360-degree feedback and exit interviews to assess and fix cultural red flags. So, if you identify that this person is showing certain toxic behaviors, you can train them or have one-on-one sessions with that person, so that this toxicity does not flow. So, this is the summary chart of how a toxic behavior is different from a healthy culture, or toxic culture is different from healthy culture. So, we talk about leadership style. The toxic culture has fear based, ego driven, and healthy culture would be empathetic, value driven. Talking about communication, well, in the toxic culture it is withheld and mostly it is top down, but in a healthy culture it would be a transparent communication and it would be two-way, means the boss is also communicating and the team is also communicating. Morale, of course, in toxic it would be low, anxious, distrustful. In healthy cultures it would be high, safe and motivated. Turnover in toxic cultures, of course, it would be high because nobody wants to stay in a toxic culture. In healthy culture, turnover would be low, means people would be retained within the organization, they won't quit. Employee voice is often suppressed in toxic culture because the leader does not want the people to express themselves. They do not want them to come up and question them or ask them or say something. But in a healthy culture, employee voice is always encouraged. So, friends, today we learnt about a very interesting topic about what is a strong culture, what is a weak culture, and most importantly, what is the need and how we can build a strong culture. Then we discussed about an important topic, which is toxic organizational culture. What is a toxic culture and what are the negative impact that a toxic culture could have on the people and on the organization, and how we can avoid having a toxic culture within the organization. So, we would continue with more topics on organizational culture, like how we can create a culture, how or what is the source of organizational culture, and how we can even change an organizational culture. So, as of now, thank you.